All right, everybody. Thanks for tuning in to my little Audacity video. This is not going to be all-inclusive. I'm just going to show a few tips because I've seen a lot of questions about how to use Audacity better online. A lot of these tools and tricks I just found to be real by searching the interwebs. So a couple of different things I recommend, and if you need these links, I'll be happy to provide them, but if you just look at the Audacity forums, you'll find them as well. Cool. So the two that you should have installed are the updated declicker and new de-esser from this topic number 79278 in the Audacity forum. I don't know if you can search that though, so grab that link if you need. And then 71556, the punch copy paste. These are so useful. So useful. This will speed you up tremendously. Grab them. I already have them installed. And I'm going to assume that you know how to install plugins. If you don't, reach out to the forum. We can help, or do a quick cursory search. Honestly, just to prove a point, you can just go type in Nyquist, download Nyquist plugins from the same wiki, and it will tell you exactly how to get them installed. So Google's your friend in this case. All right. So, other quick thing. Do read the notes that come with them. They're really detailed and helpful with how they recommend that you use them. So if you're wanting a how-to or, how to do settings, that's where you would find it. Cool. So now I'm going to go ahead and open to files. I also assume that you know how to open files, so I'm not going to narrate everything, but file open. And I'm just going to grab I actually don't want to do the full chapter. I'm just going to do my little opening credits, just because if I run something accidentally on the full file, I don't want you to have to wait on that. Cool. Do you see how this is very small as far as height-wise? Good way to always remember is to right-click on the 0, because that's where it's going to center, and then hit zoom ×2 or zoom in a few more times so it gets a little taller. And then to get it to be wider, you just hit these pluses up there. Cool. All right. And then I'm also going to import, so file import audio. And I have a clean recording of room tone. I recommend you do this too. You should also grab room tone, be very quiet the first 2-3 seconds of when you start recording and the last 2-3 seconds of when you're recording. So get in the habit of that as well, because your dynamic of your room might be slightly different from day to day, so you don't want to rely on having this clean room tone, but it's great to have as well. So there we go. See how it looks like nothing? And if I mute it, sounds like nothing too. That's clean room tone. Yours might be a little bit louder than that. Don't worry. Just worry about the fact that it's clean, doesn't have any weird blips on the line, and it also doesn't, because when I zoom in, it still looks like a flat line. That's what you want. See, I'm zoomed in 5 times and you finally see a couple of dots, but mostly it's just a solid line. Awesome. So I'm going to copy that. I have it highlighted, so what I'm going to do is, if you have that installed, let's go ahead and put it in our copy paste. So once it's installed, you've gone to your add remove plugins, you've popped over to new, you've made sure that it's not in this list. It is in your all list. Sorry, I have a lot of plugins, but punch, copy, paste, and punch, paste are enabled. Then you should see it in effects right here, punch, copy, paste. So the first thing you'll always do, this will store it, but if you close out of Audacity, you might have to do this again the next time. No big deal. You just highlight your room tone, go to punch, copy, paste, make sure it's set to copy, replace, because that's when it's going to just replace whatever's in your selection. Enable looping, just in case you're trying to do it over a longer amount, in case you don't have 5 seconds of room tone. and then hit OK. I have copied 21 seconds of room tone. You don't need that much, but there's 21 seconds of clean room tone at my disposal. Perfect. So now I'm going to mute this and play with our other one. Here we go.
The girl in the window.
Okay, so it sounds decent, but you can already hear clicks in it, and you can also see them visually, which it's a good habit to also visually see things in case your hearing fails you. Which, if there's loud noises around, you're like, oh, I think I heard something, and I see something on the waveform. That's good. So right here, you see that there's probably a click, because it's a single line that's popping up higher than everything else. So a good visual indicator.
The girl in the window. The girl in the window.
You hear two clicks in there.
The girl in the window.
Under girl and under window.
The girl in the window.
Cool. So what you're going to do is I'm going to show you real quick what you would do if you didn't have this cool tool. You could, and also if one's like super finicky and the tool won't get it, just zoom in a bunch, so much. And just so you know, zoom works off of the center of the selection. So select a smaller area if you're getting closer and zoom in. Do you see how once we're getting closer, you see that there's that darker blue? That means that that's a lot of little dots on itself. So that's not pretty. So if you keep zooming in one more time, now you see all these individual dots, which you can redraw. And what better to redraw with than the draw tool? So if you click on this draw tool up here or hit F3, you have your icon change to a little pencil. And you can just literally draw the line if you have a steady hand. Or you can hit down Alt if you're just trying to like clean up a little bit. You do not have to do this. This is just me showing you how this tool works. You don't have to get this nitpicky about the whole thing and be like, it has to be totally straight. That'll make you sound unnatural and take you decades to do. Hopefully you won't get that close anyway, but let's see if we fix that one. That sounds better.
Girl in the window. Girl in the window.
So that second one's gone. The first one's still there. Hey, we're doing good. So
the girl.
Let's see. I'm gonna
in the window.
Okay. So now let's see if that other tool works. I'm going to shorten up the room tone at the front of the file. So punch, copy, and paste. First, I'll show you that. So if let's say I don't like this room tone. It's not pretty enough, but I've already cut it down to the right length. It's a little too short, but you get the picture. We only want, I'm going to be nitpicky, but you want above 0.5, less than a second, somewhere in there. So I'll just grab it and delete, and then this should be roughly what we need. Cool. So what I can do is I can highlight the area that I have some extraneous sound that I do not want, and then I can go to Effects. Now that I have that room tone copied onto this clipboard, then I can hit Punch Paste, and you can set up a hotkey. I'll show you real quick how to do that in a minute. But you hit that, and it has now even quieter than it was before. So brilliant.
The girl in the window.
Perfect. Real quick, hotkeys, Audacity, preferences, keyboard, find the thing you want to put a hotkey for. In this case, it's punch paste. Click into the box next to it so it highlights it. Click down here and put the hotkey combination on. So just by clicking it on your keyboard, and then hit set. And then it'll warn you if you have it assigned to something else, and you can override it if you want. And then hit OK. I usually just do the paste part of it because the copy, it's fine to go through the menu once to do, but to each his own. Okay, so that's that. So now if I wanted to clean this up too, I could hit Control-Shift-V and overdo it. If I didn't like this word, Control-Shift-V and it's gone. Obviously you don't want to do that, but this will work if you have those like loud breaths that you don't want, but it keeps the length the same, which is perfect. All right, so now that we have these clicks back, let's try that other tool. So that one, you'd go to Effects, you'd find the declicker, once again looking in your actions list to make sure that they're not enabled. I will go ahead and hit, this is super cool, you can actually save presets, so do that if you really worked hard to get a preset. This is where you would come to do it. But I'm just going to go back to the default settings. And let's see if the default settings work on this. Hint, they might not. I'm also just going to select this area so it doesn't have to... so you can just do something on one small area. You don't have to do it on the whole file right away. So you can set up... what I did is I set it up to a hotkey, so the preferred way that I like to do it will just kind of go on the fly while I'm walking through. So... it got it a little better, but you'll still be able to hear it. See how those lines got shorter? Yeah, so not perfect. Let me undo just because you can run it multiple times, but let's see if we can find the perfect setting for it. So Effect, Declicker. Instead of Apply Changes, in this dropdown you have other things that you can do. You'll probably mostly just use Apply Changes or Isolate Changes. Isolate Changes, you're going to want to switch it back. This is just going to tell you what it would affect with these current settings. So it wasn't sensitive enough to get it. If you read those instructions, he says that if something is... I don't know where he says it, but in here somewhere, he says that if it's a particularly hard click, you can double the, just trust my word for it and read that on your own time. But you can put this to 1 pass and double the frequency. But for now, we'll just see if we can get the sensitivity threshold to play nice. So let's go ahead and go down to 5.5. And preview. Don't... that was quick. Did you hear those 2 clicks? That means that that's what it found with these settings. That's probably what we need. So go ahead and switch, keep everything the same, but switch this back to Apply Changes, and then hit OK. Okay, it's better, but it's still there. Okay. So let's go ahead. We're going to keep those settings the same and try what he says to do 1 pass, because this will take longer, but do 24 bands of frequency. Let's see if that helps. That did nothing. So if that did nothing, that means that our sensitivity is still too high. So let's... Okay. Let's try. It might be too high of a frequency, so I'm going to actually expand those frequencies as well. Let's see. That sounded promising. A little too promising, because you might have heard a slight murmur, so I'm going to bring it back up to what we had approximately before, where it kind of found those cleanly. Okay. Let's hit OK. Oh, guess what I forgot to do? I did that on purpose so you would see what that would look like. All that means is you accidentally did not switch back out of Isolate Changes. So keep the settings the same, go back to Apply Changes, and hit OK. Oh, hey, look how promising that looks.
Girl in the window.
That sounds beautiful. Do we see any others?
Nail polish.
Oh, there's one in polish. Did you hear it? Yeah. Let's see. So I put this on a hotkey as well. Control D in my sense. Let's see if that worked. It did.
Polish.
So what you can do is you can run the default settings. What I have is the default settings on my hotkey. And then you can just kind of run it over the whole thing. So let's see if you can hear this one too.
Red by.
So this is fun. That is actually a D. So that's why you might want to go through and just run them while you're proofing. But you can run it on this. The worst case scenario that'll happen is this.
By Jennifer.
It's just a softer D. It's not a huge deal. I think it still sounds like the letter it's supposed to, but it's your call. I think going through and kind of doing it on a case by case. So.
By Jennifer Blom.
I'm just undoing it so you can hear it before and after.
By Jennifer Blom.
So I hear another tick in here. So let's go ahead and go into our tougher declicker, which I actually have set up for this particularly, like as another hotkey, Control-Shift-D. But for now, we'll just, because we had already made these settings together, let's see if that helps. It does.
By Jennifer Blom.
Oh.
By Jennifer Blom.
Oh, that was just Audacity being fun.
By Jennifer Blom.
Oh, that sounds pretty good. Let's listen to it from the beginning. Do we hear anything else?
The Girl in the Window. Written by Renee Polish. Read by Jennifer Blom.
That sounds pretty good. If you wanted to hear what it sounded like first, I'm going to open it up in another tab. Just so you can hear it in all of its glory with the those clicks and then after. You can see them again. Once again, zoom in so you can really see stuff. The zoom twice only works once, so then you'll want to manually do it. Okay.
The Girl in the Window. Written by Renee Polish. Read by Jennifer Blom.
Okay, that's without it being cleaned up, and this is the one we just worked on. I think. Now I have tons of opening credits. This is a kind of just a impromptu thing. But yeah, see, there's no little clicks in there, so let's listen.
The Girl in the Window. Written by Renee Polish. Read by Jennifer Blom.
So I mean, between the copy punch, copy paste tool where you don't have to redo your timing and this, it's going to speed you up a lot, like tons. And being patient with learning these tools, you'll fly high.
Polish.
Okay, so the other thing I'm going to show you super quick. I know this is a longer video, but if you go into tools and macros, you can actually make these things really cool. What's nice about this is you can save presets of what that tool does. So if you look, I have a mouth click. This is the easy one, the one that's the default settings pretty much. You can set this for what gets most of them if you don't like the default settings, but try the default settings first because they're less obtrusive. They're not as harsh. So all you do is, I'll make a new one. New, you give it a name, which is important to remember this name because that's how you can assign the hotkey later. So descriptive, let's say I have a negative 3 dB. Let's do a plus 3 dB. And then I have caps lock on, sorry. Okay, so plus 3 dB. What you would do is you then hit insert because you want to add something. It'll give you all of the stuff that you can do. You can even use macros within a macro. It's kind of like Inception in that sense. Okay, but what I'm going to do is I want to raise something that I highlight by 3 decibel points. Make it slightly louder, so if I all of a sudden got too far away from the mic and it's a little too quiet and I'm trying to get my levels kind of matching, you can do this. I use negative 3 dB much more than I use plus 3 dB, but this is just for an example. So in Audacity, you're used to that being the Amplify tool. So I'm going to go through and find Amplify, which happens to be here. Yeah, they sort things weird, but just find it. Cool. So what you're going to do then is you're going to hit Edit Parameters. It's going to default to whatever you just had in your, settings. So If you see numbers here, that's fine. Just hit Edit Parameters, or you can hit Use Preset if you have that preset saved. But if you don't know, you can type in the first box what you want to increase. So either -3, it'll decrease the amplitude, or +3 in this case, and then hit OK. So it's going to say something ratio, just trust it. And if you don't understand what the parameters mean here, just hit Edit Parameters. It'll show you in more familiar settings. Cool. So hit OK. I now have that access to be used. And once again, it's called +3 dB. So then I can go quickly into my preferences and be like, 3 dB. So I have negative and plus. So +3 dB doesn't have a hotkey, but -3 dB is. So sometimes you might want to have them close by to each other. So the opposite of Control A might be Control Shift A, if that's available. Let's see. It is. So if I know Control A is the one I use more often, and that's -3 dB, but now I want to go the opposite direction, I can hit plus add the shift into it as well. Hit OK. Now, this will be really apparent. Control Shift A. Oh, that's getting super loud. Control A. Oh, that's coming back down.
Written by.
I want written by, or maybe the W is just a little too loud. I just want I just want that quieter. Control A.
Written by.
Okay, that softens it up. So that's good. So between amplifying or de-amplifying, declicking, and that punch copy paste, you're in business. That is, besides having someone help you set up your mastering chain, which you can use, guess what? In the wiki, there's also one for that. But if you look for audiobook, I believe mastering. I'm typing off camera, so you can't see how horribly I'm typing. But there is an audiobook mastering in the wiki as well that tells you exactly how to turn that on. And you can just throw this into a macro like we were looking at. So it says effect equalization RMS limiter. And I have a slightly different version of this, but it still is pretty much the same thing. Tools, macros, and then ACX FX, all of those settings just saved right there, and it does the check at the end for it. So let's see, let's run it for fun. Tools, apply macro, ACX FX. Whew. Now it passes. My noise floor 68.9. It ran super fast because it's a super small file. But now let's listen to it, because that's the most important part. Passing is not enough.
The Girl in the Window. Written by Renee Polish. Read by Jennifer Blom.
It doesn't sound horrible. If I had a critique, I would say that I think my noise floor is a little high. It's not, but I can kind of hear it a little bit more than I like. So what I can do is, before I run that, if I'm thinking that that might be an issue, I'll just do a quick noise reduce. Get noise profile, select all. I'm assuming you know how to do this, so I'm skipping over it, but I'm going to reduce it by 12 decibels and hit OK. That sensitivity is a little higher than it probably should be, but it's okay. All right.
The Girl in the Window. Written by Renee Polish.
Okay, so now after I've done that, I'm going to run that tools. Let's just do the ACX check so you can see what it currently does. So right now, it passes the peak because it's less than -22, but the RMS is ridiculously bad. And my noise floor is ridiculously low. But I did that on purpose to get it a little bit lower, because I'm going to up it back up when I run the chain. So I just wanted to show you the before. So apply macro, ACX FX. And now everything passes because it ran through those recommendations. My RMS is -20 because that's my goal. And my noise floor is -79. That's the average, not like all the time. Let's see what it sounds like.
The girl in the window.
Ooh, that's...
The girl in the window. The girl in the window.
That click might be back. But I might be in the wrong file. But it's a combination of all of those tools.
The girl in the window.
Sometimes when you amplify, you'll hear things you didn't hear before, so you can try running the declicker.
Girl in the window.
And see if it fixes it that way. But yeah, it's a combination of the tools. It's not getting frustrated
Girl
if
in the window.
you hear things that you didn't hear before.
The girl
it's
in the
using
window.
your ears with, you know, if
Written
those
by
lengths
Renee
are long
Polish.
enough between.
Read by Jennifer Blom.
But yeah, that's kind of how it is. So what you could do is, if you wanted to hear more of those things, is just raise your gain up at the beginning of the onset. Like I said, I record at a really low volume, but it hasn't been a huge issue for me. This declicker is not as robust as the one in RX, but it works really well. So if you can't afford RX, this will do the trick. This will help you. All right, I hope that helped. Don't get frustrated. Use your ear, your hearing. Sometimes, you know, I'll proof and do all of this at the same time. Hotkeys are your friend. Even better than that, a gaming mouse, or a combination of that, a gaming mouse that can do all of the hotkeys by just pushing a button will just make you speed up. And so don't get frustrated. I hope this helps. Have a good day.